Welcome to the Deak organization. My name is John, and I'm going to go over all of the different guidelines that we have for our freelance writers. If you received this link, that means that you were one of the few writers that were hired as a freelance writer for our company. So I congratulate you. There was a lot of people who applied, and we only handpicked the best. So if you're here, that says a lot about your writing skills. So I welcome you, and we're very happy to have you guys here. One quick side note I did want to mention to you, I am recording this tutorial in our office in Los Angeles. Our building is off a busy street, so at times you may or may not hear some traffic noise, and if you do, I apologize about that. As any video or tutorial, the one thing I want to do is just get right to the point, because I know that time is money and you guys don't have a lot of time to waste, and I know that you want to just learn how to do this properly and get the tutorial over with. With that said, we're going to start with your assignments. The assignments are going to work like this. You're going to receive an email from us that is going to have a brief inside of it explaining what your assignment is. When you receive this email from us, we need you to reply as quickly as possible or within 8 hours, letting us know that you have accepted and received the assignment and that you are going to move forward and create it for us. If for any reason we do not hear back from you within those 8 hours, we will have to assign the task to someone else. If you are assigned a 2,000-word article or review, the required due date for that article is going to be within 48 hours. If for any reason the article goes over 48 hours, it will be assigned to a new writer and you will most likely not get paid for your work. So please make sure that you turn in your articles on time. Now, if we assign you an article that is 4,000 words, obviously you're going to need more time to complete it, and we totally understand that. For articles, it's per 2,000 words, you will be allowed 48 hours. So if you receive an article or review that is 4,000 words required, then you're going to have 96 hours to complete it. If you receive an article that is 8,000 to 10,000 words, you're going to have almost an entire week to work on it. There is one thing that you should keep in mind, that the faster you do complete the articles, and when I say faster, I mean without compromising the content and everything about the readability and all the different things you're going to have to go through, then you will be assigned your next article. So the key is to put out great content as quickly as you can so you can move on to your next article or review, so you're able to earn as much income as possible from this project. Moving on to how you are going to get paid. Each writer will be paid only through PayPal and at the end of completion for 5 articles. So let's say if you do 5 articles within 3 days, the moment you finish the 5th article, you're going to receive a payment from us, and so forth. So for every 5 articles, you're going to get paid for the work that you've done. The pay amount is going to be $20 per 1,000 words written. So just keep that in mind. That is going to be the pay rate for you. We're now going to begin with the first part of the tutorial. That part is going to be logging into the tools that you're going to use to create the wonderful content that you're going to create for us. The first tool that I want to introduce to you, which I'm fairly sure most of you are probably familiar with, is WordPress. Now, don't panic, because we're not going to ask you to go into WordPress and do anything fancy or crazy or coding or anything like that. It's just going to be simply logging into WordPress. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. You're going to log in via this URL, which is going to be https://fixintest.com/wp-admin/. This will be the URL that you will always use to log in to our WordPress section of the website. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to just copy this and paste it up here and hit enter. And the first thing you're going to notice is you're going to be restricted. You're not going to be able to log in. The reason this is because the website is password protected. So you're going to need a password to get into this. The username to always get in will be fix and test. And the password will always be lowercase r, number 3, lowercase l, lowercase a, lowercase x, and then an exclamation point. Now, don't worry, because all of this will be in an email for you, so you're going to have easy access to get it. Then you're going to click Login. Now you're going to land on this page right here. This is the actual login for WordPress. The other password and username was to bypass the security and be able to get into WordPress. So you're going to notice that right here is going to be a username and password. Each of the writers are going to receive their own username and password to get into WordPress. So let me go ahead and log in right now. Hopefully I got that password correct. All right, wonderful. We are logged into WordPress. You might be wondering, okay, well, what are we doing in WordPress? We're just writers. Well, here's the thing. When you're creating content for websites and you use other tools such as, let's say, Microsoft Word, or even Google Docs, what's happening in the background is there is a ton of code, HTML code, that you do not see that is being inserted into your article. It could be as simple as just bolding a word, and it throws in a ton of different HTML code. And when you transfer it over to a website, it just destroys the article, and it takes hours upon hours to format. Therefore, we feel that it would be best for you to write your articles directly in WordPress. And you'll have access to all the other great tools that Microsoft Word and Google Docs has also. What you're going to do is you're going to start your article in WordPress. And in order to do that, you're going to come over here to Posts, and you're just going to click Add New. And it's going to load up. And you're going to notice that you have an area here for your title and an area here to write your articles. To give you an idea of what happens when you copy and paste from Word or Google Docs into WordPress when you're ready to publish it on the internet, I'm going to go ahead and just paste some content here that was written earlier this week so you can see what it does. And that is essentially what it does. It basically breaks up the article to a point where it becomes just a disaster for us to format. And it takes a really long time because Microsoft Word or Google Docs decided to add in all of this extra stuff that doesn't need to be there. And it just takes a really long time for us to go in and fix it all. So therefore, we're asking that you guys do the articles inside of WordPress, which isn't entirely too difficult. You're going to have to do it in here regardless, because the next tool I'm going to show you is going to be our readability tool. And some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, this is really difficult stuff, and it really isn't. After the first article, second article, it's going to be really easy for you guys to pick this up. And not only that, but this is kind of a very beneficial lesson to you as writers, especially if you're going to be publishing articles on the internet, because you're going to learn a lot of stuff here on how to get your articles published and seen by a lot of people, not just, published on the internet and you share it on a couple social media sites. We're going to show you how to get organic traffic to your site, but it's going to be for articles that we need, but you can also use it for yourself. Moving forward, I want to show you the next tool you're going to use, which is going to be called the readability tool. And what I'm going to do for that is simply just paste some content in here so you can see what we're doing here. Now, here is eSigs 101. If you haven't figured it out yet, you're going to be working primarily with electronic cigarettes and vaping devices. We're a company that have been working with them for over, I want to say, at least 12 years now. We're very passionate about that, about the vaping industry, and we really believe that these products can help a lot of people get off cigarette smoke. And in order to do that, we need to get good information into their hands, and that's why we have you. So I copied and I pasted over some content over here, and I also put in a title. For this particular article, we can just call it eSigs 101. And what you want to do is, once you're logged in, you got your title, you got your content, you're ready to go, you want to go over here and scroll to the bottom, and you're going to click this little button right here that says readability. And right here, it's going to tell you what your readability scores are and what needs to be fixed. Now, why is this really important? Well, it's very important because a majority of our readers and a majority of people on websites in general are visiting them from phones. So it's super important that we get the readability correct. Otherwise, Google is going to see this article and it's going to think that it's really not worth it's really not worth showing this article to people in search results because the readability is that bad. So what we want to do is we want to come here and we look at this and we notice that 20.3% of our sentences contain passive voice, which is more than the recommended 10%. So what this cool tool does, it actually highlights the passive voice for you. And if you don't know what passive voice is, it's okay. Just go to Google and do some research on it and you're going to learn about it. But it highlights the different areas that you can improve. So what you want to do is get those sections improved. The next part is the copy score of the flesh reading ease, which is considered difficult to read. So that's about 51%. You want to kind of make it fairly easy to read. 29% of the sentences include a transition word or phrase, which is less than the recommended minimum. So all these little tiny things make a big, big difference. And once you get your readability correct for the article, this little area here will turn green and it will say good. And then also down here, it will say good. Now, in the circumstances where you're writing an article that is, crazy long, like 4,000, 6,000, 8,000 words, the readability is going to be pretty difficult to get spot on every single time. But you can at least get this to move over to readability okay. And even sometimes if you're a really good writer, you'll be able to get it to good. So it's very important that we get the readability correct and good on all of these articles that you submit to us, because if you do submit one and the readability isn't good, we're going to send it back for revisions, and that's going to just slow down the process of moving on to the next article, and again affecting your wallet as to how much earning you can do with this project.
Another important thing that I wanted to point out to you are your tools that you have up here. These tools are fairly similar to how Microsoft Word is laid out, but it's all formatted for web, for websites. And over here you're going to have your headings. So for example, this is going to be your H2. It's already set at H2, but most of the time when you're writing a fresh article, it'll just be paragraphs. So you just come in, highlight this, click H2, you're good to go. If there is ever a time that you want to use bullet points, it's super easy to do. You just take the content, you highlight it, and you insert your bullet points, and that's what it will end up looking like. Versus if you do it from Microsoft Word to WordPress, the bullet points are just a nightmare to format inside WordPress when they're coming from Microsoft Word. But it's super important that we do it in here. So another thing I wanted to show you is you're going to be citing a lot of articles. For example, here is a 2017 study from the American Journal of Preventive Medicine. And you'll notice that there's already a link in here. And the links, you just kind of want to highlight the word that you want to link. You click this, insert the link, click this little blue button, and it's inserted now. And people are going to be able to click on that and go check out the article that you wanted to reference in your article, which we'll go over later on about different ways of doing that, because you're definitely going to want to reference various articles. And just to show you another quick thing about readability, let's preview this website. It's got some ads here and stuff that doesn't make sense, but you'll notice that it shows the text here. And the reason why readability is so important is when you're going in and looking at this on, let's say, an iPhone 7, this is what it's looking like. And it's super important that we get all of the readability and the paragraph size is correct. You generally are not going to want to go over 50 words in one single paragraph, because if you do, it's just going to be way too much to read on a mobile phone. But we'll get into that later on in your writing guidelines.
Now that you see how to use WordPress and you kind of have an idea, you're really just going to be working in posts. And I'll show you right here. And your article is going to be here. This is where you're going to submit your articles to us. You're never going to email them to us in a Word document or anything like that. We're going to come straight into here and review your work from here and read it and make sure that it passes all of our checks. You don't have to worry about anyone else seeing your work because they're not going to. You're the only person who can upload here, and you're going to be the only person who can see the articles that you wrote for us. Let's go ahead and pretend that this is your completed article, and you now need to move on and check it with two other crucial tools. So you're going to come in and you're just going to copy this. Now, this is an article that one of our in-house writers has been working on all week. So I know he's been super hard at work on it. This is just part of it. There's about another 6,000 or 7,000 words. And what we're going to do, so make sure you guys don't use any of this in your articles, because it's one of our writers here. It hasn't been published yet. We're very excited to get it published. The next section you want to go to is going to be a company by the name of Plagiarisma. Again, you're going to have the URL for the login and also the password to get in here so you can check this. And once you go to Plagiarisma, you're going to sign in with your email address, with the email address that we supply you, I apologize, and the login information. And you're going to come over to the plagiarism checker. And right over here is going to be a little box. It's going to say Google, Bing, and exact search. You always want to make sure that the exact search is checked, and you always want to check Google. We love Bing. Bing's great, but Google's the main dog in the fight that we're going after. So you then go ahead and just simply paste your content into this box. If you want to make it a little bigger, you can do so by stretching it like so, and you're going to notice that your content is there. And what we're going to do now is we're going to search 16.5 billion websites to make sure that our content is authentic. Now, there's a big difference between plagiarism and duplicate content. You're not doing this because we think you're plagiarizing content from the internet. We're doing this because there are several key factors to getting an article to rank, and that one key factor is how unique it is. How unique does it sound? Has anybody written about this before in such a way where it almost matches what you're writing? So we want to check that and make sure that it is unique. Otherwise, this article, again, will be ignored by Google and it won't do us any good. So let's go ahead and click Check Duplicate Content. And what you're going to notice here at the bottom, it's going to say your text has more than 2,000 characters and it was automatically scheduled. Click here to continue. You want to go ahead and click here. And now that you're over here, it began analyzing your content, and you want to click on View Scheduled Task. And up here, it's going to tell you how long it takes. For about every 1,000 words, it's going to take roughly, I want to say, about anywhere from 25 to 30 seconds to analyze. Sometimes it can take up to a few minutes, so you just have to patiently wait until this is done. But let's go ahead and fast forward so we can see the results. We just reached 98% and 100%, and we're done, and we're able to click and view our results over here. And it's going to tell us that there was a total of 6,762 characters, 1,108 words, 66 unique sentences, and your overall score is 100% unique, which is phenomenal. Are we looking for 100%? No. If you can get above 80%, that's really, really good. So keep that in mind. Set that goal for yourself. We want to see above 80% unique content when submitted to us. So if you have any questions about any of this, you're always going to have access to someone who's going to be able to help you. Moving back to WordPress, I want to go back in to the article that we just posted here. And we're just going to copy it one more time, because the next tool is also very, very important that you're going to need to use to check your work. The next tool is going to be a free tool that's online, and it's going to be a keyword density tool. Some of you may have used this before, some of you may have not used it before. And what this determines is, are we using the keywords that are you using the keywords that you're assigned too many times? And that's what we need to figure out here, because if we are, then what happens is Google sees this as keyword stuffing or spamming, in another word. They might think you're trying to write bad content that has a lot of keywords in it to draw traffic to your website, and that could be really bad for an article. And again, Google will ignore it, and it'll pretty much be a worthless article, and it will never get indexed into the search results, which is something you definitely don't want and we don't want. So I'm going to teach you how to check for your keyword density. So here, you're simply going to paste your content over here, and it fairly quickly does it for you. It's going to show you all of your different keywords that you're using. Each article you write for us will include a brief. That brief is going to have specific keywords that are going to be assigned for the article. The general rule of thumb is that you can't have a higher density rate than 2% of your combined variations of keywords. Let me explain it to you. Here, the assigned keywords for this article presumably was e-cig, e-cigarettes. Well, you're going to notice that one is singular, the other one is plural. Same goes for e-cigarettes. Those are not actually considered variations. They're just singular and plural, therefore they are just one single variation. But e-cig and e-cigarettes are variations. So no variations of the keywords should reach or go over 2%. For example, e-cig and e-cigs are obviously two variations of the keywords. I mean, one is singular, one is plural, but they are still considered just one keyword. Same goes for e-cigarettes and e-cigarette. They are two variations, but they are just one keyword. So for e-cig and e-cigs, you would only count 1.1%, not 2.2, because they are just one keyword. Same goes for e-cigarettes and e-cigarette. I would take the higher number, which is the 1%, and that is what I would count for these two variations. So if you add the total up, your keyword density is 2.1%, which is pretty good, but still needs to be under 2% or at 2%. So you would want to consider going in and doing a quick edit to get this under or at 2%. Keyword density, super important that you get that right. Keep it under 2% for your assigned keywords in your brief. Moving forward, let's check out what an article brief is going to look like. Essentially, you're going to receive an email from us with a PDF that is going to have your title for the article, which is this. In this case, this article is titled Best E-Cigs 2018, the Ultimate Buyer's Guide. The main target keyword, which is Best E-Cig or Cigs, the keyword variations, which again is going to be Best E-Cigarette, Best Rated E-Cig, and so forth. All coming back to what we initially discussed, the keyword density. We want to make sure that's under 2%. And then the article length, which in this case started out at 4,500 words, but ended up going to about 8,500 words. And then you have your peripheral keywords, how safe, how bad, how dangerous, how they work, how many chemicals. And then you're going to have another heading here, which is going to be your top rated e-cigarettes, the list. And over here, you'll have 10 different e-cigs that you'll write about. Over here are going to be the best e-cig brands. Again, you're going to discuss the best e-cig brands, and we'll obviously supply you with that. And then over here, which probably took up more than half of the article, is e-cigs 101. Why should I buy an e-cigarette? E-cigarettes, truths and myths. How safe are they? How bad are e-cigarettes for you? How do they feel? How do they work? Types of e-cigarettes, how much does it cost, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all of this article is going to be essentially mapped out for you. You're just going to have to use your brilliance and your genius and your research skills to fill in the blanks. Now, in other cases, you're going to receive a brief for a review. In that case, you're ultimately not going to receive all of these different keywords because a review is going to be drastically different than a big long article like this. To show you the result of that brief when we gave it to the writer, this is essentially what he ended up writing for us. which it turned out to be 21 pages. It's 100% unique in the plagiarism tool. The readability is excellent. I'm sorry, not excellent. It won't say excellent in the program. It'll just say okay or good. The readability is good. The keyword density is under 2%. And you'll notice he just discussed a little bit about the e-cigs here. We told him to discuss about. And then these are the different brands up here. And he went into a bit of detail. And this is where the most important stuff kicked in, the e-cigs 101, which he just did a ton of research and went in and discussed all the various different topics that he could come up with. He did such a fantastic job. It's such a fantastic article, and whoever stumbles upon this will get a really large amount of information that is beneficial to them from this article. To give you an idea, this article took our writer probably about 4 days to complete. It was a total of 8,500 words that he ended up doing for us. The next thing I want to go over is going to be your on-page SEO guidelines. This is very, very critical that you use all of the information we have here. Otherwise, the article could get rejected, and we don't want that to happen. Here are some sources that can help you. We put some links here that will help you learn more about on-page SEO. The structure is very important. The introduction, we can't have any more than 50 words in the very first paragraph. Include the main targeted keyword in the first paragraph and bold it. Again, only one paragraph for the first introduction. Short, creative intro for the topic. You're going to have to break up sections into heading 2, heading 3, heading 4. Obviously, the heading 1 is the title. Headings should usually be statements or questions. That's super important that you get those headings right. And again, they shouldn't be entirely too long. We don't want any run-on statements or run-on questions. Also, you're going to use these sections to elaborate on those statements and questions. So, how do e-cigarettes feel? Well, that could be one of your H2s, and you could sit there and talk about that for a little while. You're going to have a checklist. The page title, it can't be under 65 characters, and it really shouldn't be above 65 characters. Again, make sure you include the main target keyword in the title. When possible, start the title with the keyword if you can. And again, paragraphs in general should be around 50 words. This is a bit different than your introduction. The introduction cannot be more than 50 words, but your paragraphs also should be around 50, 60 words maximum, because again, these paragraphs look normal on a desktop computer, but when you have 80% of your audience reading on a phone, they can look a bit long. So keep it to around 50 words if you can. You want to cite authoritative sources. It's crucial that you cite at least 3 sources per article, and you want to go to websites that look like they have reputation. Forbes, Huntington Post, websites like that, Wikipedia, and so forth. You don't want to go to Joe's e-cig review site or let's quit smoking together.com and something that's, you want to go somewhere where it's reputable, and you're citing good sources. Make sure you look at the source you're citing first, and definitely only cite those sources. Those sources that you do pick out, you should consider doing at least 3 per article, and avoid linking these sources in the first 2 paragraphs. Whatever you do, don't link them in the first 2 paragraphs. It doesn't fly well with Google. And again, back to our keyword density, do not use the keywords past 2%. and finish off your blog. Finish off your article asking people to comment. Do some type of call to action that will prompt the user to comment. We want our articles to have comments on them. We want our readers to engage. We want them to get something out of it and have an opinion or a statement to make. So find a way to make that happen at the end of your article. Moving on to our review guidelines. All of these documents you see here, you're going to have in an email, in your introductory email. So don't worry. Although it's here in the video, I'm just going over and explaining to you how to use everything, but it's also going to be in the email for you. So here are our specific review guidelines. Again, you're going to want to review goals and ideas. You want encouragement. We want honesty in our reviews. You might sit there and say to yourself, okay, well, you want honesty in your reviews, yet we're not really putting out a real review. Yes and no. When you've been in this industry as long as we have, we know exactly which products are doing well and which products not to offer to the public. So the products that you're going to be doing reviews for us are just going to be the best of the best. The companies that we've researched and made sure that they have good warranties, excellent customer service, because really, at the end of the day, a lot of these vaporizers and e-cigs are essentially made up of the same components. So, we've been mechanical engineering them for a long time, and we know which ones are the best. And we're essentially going to assign you only the best to review, because we don't want, fake, sites out there that are sending traffic to really crappy products to be the ones who are selling the products. We want to send our traffic strictly to the best vaporizers and products on the market out there. So when you're creating your review, you're going to probably want to go out there, learn about the product a little bit, learn about what it offers, the pros and cons, read some comments of people, watch some YouTube videos, watch some other reviews, and so forth, and maybe read some other reviews that you feel are credible. But yeah, just be honest in your reviews. Don't be over the top. Just let them know what your research ended up being and what the review is. You want to sound like you know what you're talking about. If I read something, I can tell right away if this person knows what they're talking about or if it's just a bunch of fabricated, content. And the moment I realize that if it is fabricated or if this person sounds like they have no idea what they're talking about, I'm usually going to leave that website and probably never return to it again. Therefore, it's crucial that you write with credibility in mind. Understand who we are. It's super important that you know that, we are a company that we've been in business for a long time. We're a group of kind-hearted people. We're a family-owned business. We're very passionate about the e-cigarette industry. There's roughly 4.6 million people who die every year from lung cancer. We take it very personally, and this is our small stand against big tobacco, and that's to offer great reviews for products that we can get into people's hands today and get them off cigarettes, and offer great content to educate people about vaporizers and e-cigarettes, and hopefully one day, take that 4.6 million people and reduce that greatly. It is definitely something that we are passionate about and we take very personally. So just know that that's who we are. We're just a group of people and employees and family members here who are working around the clock to get this information out to people. When you're doing articles, and you're researching anyone or talking about anything, we want you to we want you to be very respectful. It's super important that you are at all times understanding. Different personalities can be different, and sometimes somebody might have a bad day or or something. So you just want to always make sure you speak like you are respecting our writers. And if you ever reach out to anyone for research, you want to also, speak to them clearly and, make them know that you respect what they're saying. It's super important. Educate. We want to educate people about e-cigarettes as much as we can. So, the knowledge you're learning, you're essentially passing on to our readers. Focus on your readers. Essentially, you want to direct your article towards the reader. You don't want to sound like a robot. You want to put some of your personality into this, and you want to be talking to your readers when you're talking about your reviews. Always use active voice over passive voice. Again, that comes back to readability. This is a pretty bad habit for many writers, and that is one of the reasons why we're using the software we're using, is to make sure we check your readability and reduce as much passive voice as possible. Your voice and tone, again, you want to just be careful on how you write your articles. You want to be friendly, simplified, respectful, and so forth. All of that is going to be right here in the guidelines that you're going to read here. And finally, welcome. We're excited to have you part of our team, and hopefully for a long time. And hopefully you will put out a lot of great, excellent content for us. Well, I believe that covers everything. I know that it's a long tutorial, but if you took the time to read about everything that we sent you and watch this video, I sincerely appreciate it. And I guarantee you the ones that did take the time are the ones that are going to be the most successful and have the least rejected articles and make the most money with our company. If you have any questions, always send an email. It's super important that you ask questions. There is no dumb question. We're here for you at all times. When I mean all times, it's Monday through Friday from noon to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But otherwise, you could send us an email, and most of us will respond fairly quickly, even after hours. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Again, let us know if you have questions. So get out there, write some awesome articles for us and some great reviews for our readers. Thank you so much. Take care.